Imagine waking before sunrise, with cold air moving across your skin. There is no coat beside you, no blanket, no insulated wall. The ground underneath has been pulling heat from your body for hours, and the fire has collapsed into a few glowing pieces of wood. Someone needs to get up and feed it. Unfortunately, leaving the warm sleeping pile is how meetings begin. Before people could make fitted trousers, stitched jackets, gloves, or proper shoes, cold weather was a serious problem. Humans had already lost most of the thick body hair that protects other mammals, and our long limbs release heat quickly. Yet early humans and their relatives eventually lived through bitter winters, strong winds, and long periods of snow. They survived by combining several smaller solutions. Together, those solutions turned a dangerous night into a manageable one. The first was movement. Mobile groups could leave exposed summer camps and move toward lower ground, sheltered valleys, forests, coastlines, or places where food and fuel remained available. A breeze that felt pleasant in warm weather became less charming once it started arriving sideways with ice in it. People followed animals toward wintering grounds, returned to known shelters, and camped where hills blocked the worst wind. Even a small difference in exposure mattered when everyone slept close to the ground, without modern insulation. By around 45,000 years ago, Homo sapiens were living at Ranis in Germany during conditions far colder than today. Clothing probably already existed by then, but the site shows how much planning cold environments demanded. Fire, shelter, food, and local knowledge all had to work together. Shelter handled much of the problem. A cave could block rain and wind, though caves were never warm apartments waiting politely for tenants. Some were damp. Some trapped smoke. Others were already occupied by bears, hyenas, or several thousand insects that had not approved the lease. Where caves were unavailable, people could build windbreaks and low shelters from branches, hides, bark, grass, and other local materials. Most of those materials decay, so the earliest structures are difficult to reconstruct. The design goal was simple: block the wind, keep out rain, and create a small space that bodies and fire could warm. Even a crude wall reduced heat loss by stopping cold air from constantly moving across exposed skin. The ground caused another problem. Sleeping directly on stone or frozen earth allowed body heat to drain downward all night. Grass, leaves, branches, and animal skins created an insulating layer between the body and the ground. At Border Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found grass bedding dating back around 200,000 years. Some of it lay over ash, which may also have helped keep insects away. The site was not an Ice Age winter camp, but it shows that humans were deliberately building comfortable sleeping surfaces long before blankets existed. Dry grass sounds unimpressive until the alternative is a rock that has been storing cold since sunset. Then it becomes premium accommodation. Fire provided heat, light, cooked food, dry bedding, and some protection from predators. It also created a permanent list of chores. Fuel had to be gathered before dark. Damp wood filled shelters with smoke. Sparks threatened roofs and hides. A large fire could burn through the available wood faster than expected. The sleeping area had to be arranged carefully. Too far away and the warmth vanished. Too close and someone woke up smoking. Fire placement inside caves was a genuine technical problem. Modern computer models show that only certain parts of a cave can provide useful warmth without filling the living space with dangerous smoke. Ancient people had no airflow simulations. Repeated coughing probably delivered the same review. Heated stones, warm ash, and earth around the hearth could continue releasing warmth after the flames weakened. Fire also dried hides and bedding before everyone settled down. Managing it well required attention throughout the night. Before fitted clothing, people probably relied on loose animal skins and simple wraps. A hide could cover the shoulders, wrap around the body, or be tied with strips of fiber or sinew. It blocked wind and trapped some warm air, but it shifted during movement. Someone climbing, carrying food, or chasing an animal might have to choose between holding the covering closed and using both hands. The first garments have disappeared because hides and fibers decay. One indirect clue comes from body lice, which live mainly in clothing and lay eggs in its fibers. Genetic studies suggest that body lice split from head lice tens of thousands of years ago, possibly much earlier than 100,000 years. Humans were wearing coverings regularly enough to create an entirely new habitat for parasites. Humanity invented clothing and immediately received lice as the first accessory. Over time, people learned to pierce hides with stone points or bone awls and join them with sinew or fiber. Later, Eyed needles made tighter seams and fitted garments easier to produce. A loose hide worked best, while the wearer remained fairly still. Fitted clothing moved with the body and reduced the gaps where cold air entered. Proper clothing arrived through a long sequence of improvements, rather than one dramatic afternoon when someone unveiled the first trousers to a confused audience. Until then, the shelter itself could function as shared insulation. Sleeping close together reduced exposed skin and allowed people to share body heat. Adults could surround children, who lose heat faster because of their smaller size. People near the outside of the group may have changed positions, while everyone benefited from the warmth of several bodies beneath the same hides and bedding. Exact sleeping arrangements do not fossilize, so some of this must be inferred from physiology and group behavior. Still, a close cluster beneath hides retains more warmth than the same people scattered around the shelter in pursuit of personal space. Privacy becomes less important when the temperature is trying to remove your toes. The body produced some emergency heat of its own. Blood vessels near the skin narrowed to protect the organs, and shivering generated warmth through rapid muscle activity. Those responses consumed energy. A hungry person could not shiver indefinitely. Cold survival depended heavily on calories, especially fat-rich food such as marrow and animal fat. A successful hunt provided meat for the group, fat for energy, hides for coverings, and bones for tools. One animal might become dinner, bedding, roofing, and part of someone's winter outfit. Food was part of the heating system. Some human populations also carried physical advantages. Neanderthals had broad bodies and relatively short lower limbs, proportions that reduced surface area compared with body mass and slowed heat loss. That helped, but body shape could not collect firewood, dry bedding, or repair a damaged shelter. Cooperation handled those jobs. One person gathered fuel while another prepared food. Someone repaired hides. Someone kept children near the warmest part of the shelter. Someone stayed awake long enough to stop the fire from dying. Cold punished individual mistakes quickly. A group could divide the work and notice problems before they became fatal. A lone person beside a weakening fire had a crisis. A group had a night shift. So how did ancient humans keep warm before proper clothing? They avoided the most exposed places, built small shelters, insulated the ground, managed fire, wrapped themselves in hides, ate enough to keep producing heat, and slept close together. The entire camp was the coat. Its walls blocked the wind, its bedding stopped heat disappearing into the ground. Its fire warmed the air and dried wet materials. Its food powered the body. Its people kept everything working while someone else slept. Proper clothing eventually allowed humans to carry more of that protection with them. Before then, warmth had to be rebuilt every evening, and when the fire began fading before sunrise, somebody still had to leave the sleeping pile and feed it. More ancient survival stories are coming.